Listen closely, because what I'm about to share has the power to change the way you see connection forever. But before we dive in, I want you to make me a silent promise. Use this knowledge not to play cheap games, not to toy with hearts, but to build something real, something that leaves both of you stronger, not broken. Because what you're about to hear isn't a trick, it's not a gimmick, it's a law of human nature as old as love itself. And when you understand it, you will finally grasp why some men leave unforgettable imprints on a woman's soul, while others fade like background noise. The first truth you must hold in your hands is this: it is not certainty that ignites obsession. It is possibility. Yes, the spark that keeps her mind racing at night, replaying every word you said, is not the promise that you will love her forever. It is the maybe, the shimmering uncertainty between yes and no. Think of it like standing before a locked chest of treasure. She sees the golden glow between the cracks. She knows something priceless is inside, but she doesn't know if or when you will open it. And that mystery, that tension, it turns her curiosity into obsession. Because here's the hidden truth. A woman's emotional mind does not thrive on guarantees. It thrives on hope. Hope that she could be the one you choose. Hope that her presence could shift the balance in your heart. Hope that if she gives more, invests more, sacrifices more, she'll be the one to finally turn that key. That hope is addictive. It spreads through her system like fire, and it will not let her rest. And brother, that is where your real power lies. Not in your looks, those will fade. Not in your wealth, money comes and goes. Not in your status, crowds can cheer today and forget you tomorrow. No, your greatest power is your ability to choose, to decide who receives your heart and who does not. That choice cannot be stolen. That choice is yours alone. Most men throw it away too easily. They hand out commitment like candy, thinking generosity will win love. But here's the brutal truth. Love without respect dies fast, and respect only blooms when your commitment feels rare, when it feels like something she must earn, not something given by default. Understand this. The men who keep women endlessly captivated are not the ones who offer everything up front. They are the men who know how to hold back just enough to keep the fire alive. It is not the promise that hooks her, it is the possibility, the tension between having you and losing you. And once you learn to master that tension, you hold the first key to her emotional world. But remember, this is not about cruelty. It is not about manipulation. It is about value. When you live with purpose, when your heart is not something that can be bought with flattery or lust, you naturally become the kind of man whose love is rare. And rare things, they are fought for, they are cherished, they are remembered. This is where our story begins, with the spark of uncertainty, the fire of possibility. And once you ignite it, you'll see the truth Machiavelli himself hinted at centuries ago. The deepest form of power is not domination, it is choice. The second secret, addiction of attention. Let me tell you a secret most men never grasp. They think power over a woman comes from being cold. They think ignoring her, mistreating her, or playing childish games will somehow make her want them more. They are wrong. That's not strength, it's weakness wearing a mask. True power does not come from cruelty. It comes from something far more subtle and far more dangerous. It comes from attention, but not the way most men give it. Most men pour out attention like water from a broken faucet, texting endlessly, flooding her phone with emojis, calling her every free minute, always available at the snap of a finger. And what happens? The value of that attention drops to nothing. It is no longer a gift, but a burden. But when you master the art of attention, when you know how to give it fully, deeply, and then step back, you transform your presence into the most addictive drug she has ever tasted. Let me paint the picture. When she is with you, she should feel something she does not feel with anyone else. Not just attraction, not just comfort. She should feel alive. When you look at her, your focus should be complete, like she is the only woman in the world. You make her laugh so hard her cheeks ache. You make her glow in ways even she didn't know she could. You create memories so sharp and golden that she replays them in her mind long after the night ends. And then, you vanish. Not like a boy ghosting out of fear. Not like a coward running from responsibility, but like a man with a life so full, so rich with purpose that you cannot always be reached. Think of it like the finest restaurant in the city. The food is flawless, the service is perfect, the atmosphere is unmatched. but it only opens 2 nights a week. What happens? People line up for hours just for the chance to get in. Why? Because exclusivity creates desire. It is the same with your attention. When you give it freely all the time, it loses its meaning. But when you give it fully, then step back into your own world, it becomes rare. And rare things are priceless. Here's the psychology. When she is with you, her brain releases dopamine, the chemical of pleasure, reward, and anticipation. She feels high. She feels lit up from the inside. But when you step away, when she is suddenly left without your presence, the opposite occurs. Withdrawal. Her chest tightens. She feels restless. She checks her phone, replaying your words, craving that next dose of you. And just like that, your attention has become a drug. Now, here's the difference between you and the men who fail. You are not giving her pain. You are not making her feel worthless. You are giving her joy, but you are controlling the supply. And once her happiness becomes linked to your presence, and her unease linked to your absence, she is hooked. This is the law of value. The less available something is, the more it is desired. But there is a warning here. You must never use this recklessly. Your attention is not a weapon to break her. It is a gift to lift her. So, here is your rule. When you are with her, give her everything. Be fully present. Make her feel she is living the best chapter of her story. But when you leave, truly leave. Step back into your mission, your goals, your world. Because here's the truth. If you have no mission, no direction, no higher purpose, your absence will feel like emptiness. But when you have fire in your life, when your path calls you forward, your absence will feel like mystery, and mystery is the oxygen of attraction. Most men can only give 2 flavors of attention, too much or none at all. But you will master the rhythm, full intensity, then silence, then return. Like the waves of the ocean, pulling her in, receding, then crashing forward again. And in this rhythm, she will find herself craving you, missing you, thinking of you at odd hours of the night. Not because you forced her, not because you played games, but because your attention became something she could never get enough of. That, brother, is true power. Not cruelty, not arrogance, but mastery over the most valuable resource you have, your focus. And when you learn to control it, she will never forget you. Because you are not just a man in her life. You are the experience she cannot stop chasing. The third secret, the weapon of silence. Most men are terrified of silence. They rush to fill every pause with jokes, stories, or nervous chatter, as if quiet itself were a threat. But here's the paradox. What they fear is actually their most powerful weapon. Silence. Silence unsettles. Silence creates tension. Silence makes her mind spin with questions she cannot answer. And in those questions, desire is born. Understand this. The human brain hates empty space. It is wired to fill the gaps, to resolve uncertainty. So, when you leave silence between your words, when you don't rush to explain yourself, her mind begins to race. What is he thinking? Did I impress him? Does he even like me? Why hasn't he said anything yet? That uncertainty is magnetic. It pulls her in closer. Machiavelli himself understood that true power often hides not in what is revealed, but in what is withheld. Mystery, brother, is influence. Now, let's contrast. Most men spill everything too soon. They empty their stories, their compliments, their histories in one flood. It feels like honesty, but in reality, it kills intrigue. Because once she knows everything, there's nothing left to wonder. And once curiosity dies, attraction withers. But the man who masters silence, he becomes unforgettable. Picture this. She's telling you a story, her eyes bright, her words flowing fast. When she finishes, most men would jump in immediately, eager to match her energy. But not you. You pause. 2, 3 seconds. You hold her gaze, steady, calm. A faint smile touches your lips, but you say nothing. And in those few seconds, her mind goes into overdrive. She leans in, she explains more. She becomes more animated, more playful, more invested in earning your reaction. Why? Because silence makes her work. And what we work for, we value more. This is psychological warfare most men don't even know exists. While others scramble to entertain her, drowning her with noise, you create tension with absence. And that tension, it pulls her deeper into you. But there is another reason silence is so powerful. It gives weight to your words. If you talk nonstop, every sentence dissolves into the air. But if you choose carefully, if you allow space before you speak, your words land heavier. They feel deliberate, intentional, worth waiting for. Silence transforms ordinary words into statements of gravity. So, here is your practice. Next time you're with her, resist the urge to rush. When she speaks, listen fully. When it's your turn, pause before answering. Hold her gaze. Let her feel that unspoken pressure, the mystery of not knowing what you'll say. That silence isn't emptiness, it's atmosphere, it's electricity in the air. And the man who can remain calm in silence shows something rare, strength. He is not desperate. He is not performing. He does not fear being judged. He shows he knows his value, because silence is confidence, and confidence is the foundation of power. Now, here's the warning. Do not mistake silence for distance or coldness. This is not about ignoring her, not about punishing her. This is about rhythm. It is about giving her space to lean forward, to come closer, to fill the gap with her own effort. When you master it, something fascinating happens. She begins to chase your approval. She leans into your quiet. She digs for your thoughts. She wants to uncover what lies beneath. And the more she wants to uncover, the more invested she becomes. So remember this, words may impress, but silence controls. And the man who controls silence, he does not just hold her attention, he commands it. The fourth secret, the seduction of small ye's. This, brother, is one of the most subtle and most dangerous principles you will ever learn. If you understand it, you can forge bonds so deep that walking away becomes nearly impossible for her. It is called the seduction of small yeses. And it works because of a brutal truth of human psychology. We value most not what we receive, but what we invest in. Every time a woman does something for you, no matter how small, she is planting a seed inside her own mind. A seed that whispers, "This man must matter, otherwise why would I be doing this?" Let me paint it vividly. You're sitting together, watching a movie. Casually you say, "Can you grab me some water?" She gets up, brings it back, hands it to you. To the untrained eye, it's nothing. But it's not nothing, it's her first yes. Later, before an important meeting, you ask, "Which shirt should I wear, the dark one or the light one?" She gives her opinion. You take it, you smile. That's her second yes. Each time she says yes, each time she contributes, even in the smallest way, she invests a little piece of herself in you. And what we invest in, we fight to protect. Every yes is a brick. One by one, she is laying bricks across the river that separates her world from yours, and soon, a bridge forms. A bridge that makes leaving you feel like losing part of herself. Psychologists call this the justification of effort. The harder we work for something, the more valuable it becomes in our minds. So when she pours time, energy, and thought into you, even in tiny increments, her own brain begins convincing her, "This man is worth it. Why else would I be doing all this?" But here's the key. It must feel natural. If it feels like a test, if it feels manipulative, the spell breaks. You cannot demand these yeses. You must invite them. They must feel effortless, like part of the flow of life together. Can you pick a song for the drive? Help me decide between these two ideas. Do you think I should text him back now or later? Little threads woven gently. And here's the second key, gratitude. When she does it, you don't act entitled. You don't treat it like nothing. You look at her, you smile, you thank her, not with dramatic words, but with the sincerity of a man who appreciates the effort. Because this is not about control. This is about bonding. When a woman feels her presence improves your life, even in the tiniest of ways, she begins to see herself as part of your mission, part of your story, part of your rise. And once she feels that, she doesn't want to leave, because leaving you would mean betraying her own investment, destroying the bridge she spent time and energy building. That is why this law is so powerful. Each yes is a thread. One thread feels like nothing, but as days pass, as weeks flow, those threads weave together into a rope so strong she cannot cut it, because it is made of her own choices, her own efforts, her own devotion. That rope, brother, is called loyalty. And loyalty is stronger than attraction. Loyalty is stronger than desire. Loyalty is what keeps her bound to you when the spark fades, when emotions shift, when life tests you both. So remember this, small yeses create big bonds. It is not the grand gestures that tie a heart forever. It is the tiny, repeated acts of investment, each one seeming harmless on its own, but together forming an unbreakable chain. Do not abuse this. Do not turn it into a tally of favors or manipulation. Respect the power of it. Honor the bond it creates. Because once she has woven herself into your life, once her own hands have built the bridge between you, she will guard it with everything she has. And that is how the smallest yes becomes the deepest commitment. The fifth secret, the power of emotional contrast. If you truly want to leave a mark on her heart, you must understand this. Attraction does not survive on flatness. It does not thrive in monotony. What binds her to you is not endless kindness alone, nor is it endless coldness. It is contrast. The rhythm of light and shadow, the push and the pull, the warmth and the edge. That is what makes her feel alive with you and restless without you. Think of music. A song that plays the same note over and over is torture, but a song that blends silence with explosion, softness with intensity, that is the song that captures the soul. It is the same with you. Most men are one-dimensional. Some are always sweet, always available, always predictable. They think being endlessly kind will win her heart, but she grows bored. Others go to the opposite extreme, always cold, distant, arrogant. They think being hard will make her chase, but she grows tired. Both kill desire, because desire is born from contrast. Picture this. You make her laugh until her eyes shine, until she feels weightless in your presence. And then, a moment later, your energy shifts, your gaze sharpens, your silence deepens. You hold her eyes and say calmly, "Don't test me." That sudden change strikes deeper than hours of flattery. Because it is not expected, because it interrupts her certainty, because it reminds her, you are not a boy playing roles. You are a man with depth, with layers she cannot fully decode. Here's the psychology. The brain remembers spikes, not flat lines. It does not cling to what is predictable. It clings to what surprises it, what unsettles it, what makes it feel. So, if you are always predictable, whether soft or hard, you flatten her emotions. But if you can move between comfort and edge, playfulness and gravity, warmth and authority, you create emotional spikes. And spikes, brother, are addictive. This does not mean instability. It does not mean mood swings. It does not mean cruelty. It means being whole, showing every dimension of yourself instead of hiding behind one mask. Because a complete man is not just laughter. He is also silence. He is not just safe. He is also sharp when he must be. And that contrast keeps her mind circling around you, unable to settle. Think of it like fire. Too much heat burns, too little heat dies. But the flicker between flame and ember, that is what keeps you mesmerized. Now imagine her inner world. With you, she feels joy, laughter, play. Then suddenly, you shift into stillness, into strength. Her pulse quickens, her breath catches, she is shaken, and she loves it. Because in that moment she realizes, you are not flat. You are not one-dimensional. You are not safe in the way predictable men are. You are an experience. And once she tastes that experience, once she feels both your softness and your edge, she will never again settle for monotony with another. This is why contrast is so powerful. It keeps her on the edge of mystery. She cannot fully predict you. She cannot fully control you. And what she cannot control, she cannot stop thinking about. So here is your practice. When you are with her, let her feel the full warmth of your presence. Laugh, tease, protect, adore. But at the right moments, let the shadow emerge. A pause of silence when she expects words. A calm disapproval when she crosses a line. A sudden shift in tone when you reveal something serious. These moments will burn themselves into her memory because they remind her that you are not just a man. You are an unfolding story, and the human heart does not crave comfort alone. It craves the roller coaster. It craves the rise and the fall. That is the power of emotional contrast. It does not just create attraction, it creates addiction. And once she has ridden that wave with you, she will not forget it. She cannot. Because you will not just be a person in her life. You will be the most vivid experience her heart has ever known. The sixth secret, the architect of dreams. We've walked through uncertainty, attention, silence, small yeses, and contrast. But all of it leads here, to the final stage, the move that turns fleeting attraction into a bond she will protect with everything she has. This final secret is called becoming the architect of her dreams. Because here's the truth most men overlook. Women do not live only in the present moment. They live in stories. Every glance, every conversation, every kiss, she is weaving it into a narrative in her mind. What does this mean? Where is this going? Who am I with him? And if you are careless, she writes the story herself. And in that story, you are replaceable. But if you are wise, you take hold of the pen. You don't just give her experiences, you give her a story. The kind of story she will replay 1,000 times. The kind of story that makes her heart whisper, "This must be destiny." How do you do this? Not by grand promises, not by empty words, but by planting small, deliberate seeds in her mind, seeds of meaning, seeds of future, seeds of forever. For example, you look at her during a quiet moment and say, "From the day I met you, I felt something I couldn't explain, like the universe was telling me to pay attention." Do you see what that does? It doesn't just describe a feeling, it frames the story. Now, she isn't just another woman in your life. She is the chosen one. She is part of a bigger narrative, something larger than chance. Then you plant seeds of the future, not heavy-handed promises, just casual, powerful hints. One day when you meet my family, they're going to love you. Imagine us looking back on this moment when we're old, still laughing at how ridiculous we were. I feel like you and I are going to have stories people won't believe. And just like that, you are building a future in her imagination. Now, being with you isn't just about today. It's about someday. And here's the brutal truth. Once she starts building that dream, walking away from you isn't just losing a man. It's destroying the story she's been writing in her own heart. That is why this is the deepest form of power, because she won't just fight for you. She'll fight for the dream you authored together. But here is the warning. This cannot be built on lies. If the story you create is fake, it will collapse, and the damage will be permanent. The dream must be woven from real moments, real laughter, real chemistry, real intimacy, real depth. You don't need to invent destiny. You only need to frame the truth as something bigger. Because stories are stronger than logic, stronger than facts, stronger even than attraction. Stories are what make us human, and when she begins to see herself as the heroine of your shared story, her heart is no longer yours alone. It is bound to the story of you both. That is why you must become the architect of her dreams. Final words. Now, brother, you hold the full arsenal, the spark of possibility, the addiction of attention, the weapon of silence, the binding power of small yeses, the intensity of emotional contrast, and the ultimate move, the architecture of dreams. These are not tricks. They are psychological laws. They reach beneath logic and touch the raw nerve of human desire. And your task is not to use them carelessly, not to collect broken hearts like trophies, but to wield them with respect, for women, for yourself, and for the power of connection itself. So, here's what you do. Do not rush to master all of them at once. Choose one, practice it, watch how the world responds, then layer in another, because this is not about speed, it is about depth. And if this message has struck you, if you feel the weight of what you've just learned, then take action right now. Like this video. Comment below with the wisdom you would pass to other men, because your words might be the spark someone else needs. And subscribe, because the next lesson will go even darker, how to transform rejection into your sharpest advantage. Until then, stay sharp, stay awake, and remember, the truest power is not in taking a heart. It is in choosing who is worthy of yours.